This video will walk you through how to set up an APA formatted paper using Google Docs. I know that a lot of students have started using Google Docs, and actually many of your professors do too. I actually still prefer using Word, but I have muddled through Google Docs enough that if you're familiar with it, I can show you how to use it to set up your APA formatted paper. And even if you're not and you want to start using Google Docs, I think you could still probably follow this guide and be able to get there. So here's my blank Google Doc. The first thing I want to do is go to my tool ribbon and click the Center Justified button. So now my paper is centered, or my cursor is centered. I'm going to hit enter so many times so that I get to about the middle of the page, and I can kind of eyeball this. I look pretty close to being in the middle. What I'm going to do is type my paper title, and for this activity, it's going to be Super Cool APA Formatting Activity. If your paper was titled Why Napoleon Was the Best Leader, then you could type that paper there, that paper title there. I'm going to skip down to the next line, and I'm actually going to write my name because I'm the writer of this paper. Now for your paper, you will write your own name, obviously. And then I'm going to write our institution on the next line. So Nevada State College. If you were going to Harvard University or University of Nevada at Las Vegas, then you would write that institution name on that third line. Some instructors may ask that you include other information here, like the title of your assignment or your course name and number, student ID, things like that. That's absolutely fine. That's their choice. However, the only information that's required by APA are these three pieces of information. And for this class, then, those are the only items that you should have in that space. Now, one thing that is not correct at this point is the spacing. We need this to be double spaced. So I can do a couple of things, but probably what's easiest is if I just highlight and then move into double spacing up here again on my tool ribbon. So now this is looking very nice. In fact, I'm actually going to back it up. I don't think that is quite centered. I like that a little better. Okay, excellent. Now, if you looked at the sample essays in your book, on the pages you're required to read, you heard about and saw about the running head. Well, this is very important, but we absolutely cannot start on the first page. A lot of students will still turn in this activity and it will be clear to me that they started on the first page. Let me tell you right now, you cannot start on the first page. So I'm going to show you how you can get to that point where you can get your first page to say running head while your second page does not. You need to get to the second page. So what I could do is just hit enter a couple of times until I was there. Oh, you know what? Let me delete that. I apologize. That shouldn't be there. So that I'm actually there. But what I like to do is actually just insert a page break. So I'm going to go to insert and then a page break, and that's going to take me right there. What that does is it just sets up a hard return there that's actually that skips the rest of the page until we get to the next page. I just like that. It's a little bit cleaner for me, but either way is fine. When we get to that second page, I want you to type abstract. Now we're going to actually learn about abstracts in a little bit more detail later on in the semester, but for right now, I just want you to realize that the word abstract is centered, it is capitalized, but not in all capital letters, and it is unbolded and unitalicized, okay? This is very important for you to get because it's one of those tiny little things that really means nothing in the scheme of your paper, but it will stick out as an error to somebody who's familiar with APA, which can result in you losing points. Now, the abstract, like I said, you're going to learn more about that later, but just to give you a quick overview, it just provides a summary of your essay so that readers can decide if they want to spend the time reading your essay or not, or your paper. Now, this is really meant for like published papers. If you can imagine doing lots of research and you pull 10, 20, 30 articles, you're probably only going to use about half to a third of those articles. But we don't want to have to read all of those articles in order to figure out which ones we want. So what we really want to do is just be able to read those abstracts and know very quickly, yes, this paper could be helpful. No, this paper will not be helpful. And once you really start doing research, you'll be so thankful that so many papers have abstracts. Not all, but many of them do, research papers. Okay, so we have our title page complete. Now we have our second page with the word abstract typed there. This is exactly where we want to be. The next thing we want to do now is get that header started. And the header is just going to be our title of our paper and our page number. Again, starting from this second page, I want you to go to Insert and go to Page Number. And we're going to click this very first style, which is every page numbered, okay? You're going to see that I have a 2 on the second page and a 1 on the first page. That's exactly what we want it to be, okay? I'm going to move my cursor. My cursor was originally on the right side of the 2. I'm going to move it to be on the left side. And I'm going to hit Delete so that it backs me up to the right side. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my title, Super Cool APA Formatting Activity, and I'm going to write it in all capital letters. Super Cool APA Formatting Activity. And then I'm going to hit Tab until my 2 goes back where it's supposed to be. Now, we don't want anything on that second line. So like where you saw me there, I hit Tab too many times. That 2 should not be on that line. It should all be on one line. APA actually wants your title up here to be limited to about 50 characters. I'm not sure how many characters this is, but let's just pretend like it was longer. So I'm just going to start typing letters. Okay, so you see how already that's gotten us over onto the next page. We are to the next line. We definitely just don't want that. If that were the case, if our title was so long that it was going on to the next line, we could actually cut a portion of it so that it would all fit on that line. Again, getting us under that 50 character count. If I were going to cut some words from this title, I would probably take out Super Cool and just call it APA Formatting Activity, because if you notice, that still matches exactly to part of the title of the full title. And we would never have to cut this full title from our title page. We're only talking about in our running head and header at this point. But luckily for us, it is not too long. Everything fits on one line. Now, when I scroll back up, you can see that I actually have this ability to check this different first page. And I'm actually going to click that. You know what? That was actually already clicked. That should have been unclicked. This was from an earlier video that I was making. So once we click different first page, because it should be unclicked, now you see that this disappears on the first page, but on the second page it does not. That's exactly what we want it to do, okay? So now we're going to go back to this first page, and we want to make it look like what we saw in the book. So we're going to type running head and put a colon. Now notice that running head is what we call sentence case or sentence style, where only the first letter of the phrase is capitalized. So this little h, it's supposed to be a little h, okay? The opposite of sentence style or sentence case is going to be title style or title case. And if we look back at our title page, we're going to see that each major word is capitalized. And generally, I think the APA rule is 4 letters or longer. Those words are all considered major words. But we're back up here with the running head in the sentence style. We've got our colon, and now we're going to type that same title that we put on the second page in all capital letters. Super Cool APA Formatting Activity. And I'm going to hit tab a couple of times. And then, oh, that put me on the next line. So I'm going to delete and go back one. So now we have that one. Excellent. So that is how you make these 2 pages look different. You have to start on the second page. And then afterwards, you have to click different first page. Again, mine had already been clicked, so I had to unclick it and then re-click it in order to get there. But yours, by default, should be unclicked. Now, one thing that you'll notice, especially if you're familiar with Word, is this header is really close up here. It should be at 1/2 inch for the running head and 1 inch for the text. And we can kind of move down here and we can see if you want to get a ruler, that's about 1 inch. But this is definitely not 1/2 inch. So what you can actually do is you can hit enter a couple of times to see if you can get it to that 1 inch mark. Now, I'm actually gonna check. You can't see what I'm doing, but I'm actually checking with my ruler to see about where that 1/2 inch is. And it's about right there. So again, we just want to make sure that that is looking nice. And that we've got that 1/2 inch margin for the header, and then that 1 inch margin for our actual body of our text. If you use Word, this is a lot easier to do in Word. It's a little bit tricky to do in Google Docs. So that is your tutorial for how to set up your APA formatted paper using Google Docs.